Live from the YouTubes, it's Sunday, July 10th, and we're switching things up today. We are talking Thor, Love and Thunder, full spoiler review. More of a spoiler talk because you guys will be leading that discussion today. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. Oh, let me get bigger on here. Thank you all so much for joining me in today's Thor, Love and Thunder spoiler discussion. And normally I usually do the typical standard spoiler review where I get on here and I talk and it's just me. But I thought it would be more interesting for you all to kind of lead today's discussion. And there's going to be less people here than normal. Not everyone's seen the movie. I understand that. But this to me is a way for us to just kind of talk everything out and go in the direction and the route that you all want to go. Now, there are a couple things I want to make sure I hit on in today's spoiler review, and we will definitely get there. And I'm sure you all will bring up some great questions to get us there. Box office is another thing that I want to hit, and we'll be sure to hit that at some point in this review because we do have the semi-official box office numbers thanks to today's update, and they're pretty good. We'll get into the specifics and see what the carryover will be next week. But I want to get into the chat because this is your all's spoiler discussion, not just mine. And thanks to everyone who is here, from Chris Smith to Chuck to G. Colby P. Hi, Kristen. Hello. That's not me. Austin just got out of the theater. So we literally have people that just got out of the theater. They're happy. They loved it. It's okay. It's conflicting. We're here to talk everything out. But make sure, if you're here, make sure you've seen this movie because we are going to dive into all things spoiler filled and spoiler heavy. And we'll get into your all's questions here in just a second. By the way, if you are here, this is different. This is new. I don't normally do things like this. So if you want to drop a like down below, that would help this video. That would help me gauge whether or not you guys want more of these live spoiler discussions, or you can get in that super chat box below. Ask super chat questions if you want to make sure I'm answering your Thor related questions. We also have a Streamlabs link in the description if that is easier. Regardless, I'm going to try to get to as many questions, thoughts, hash things out. Just be polite and respectful, please. But I appreciate you all for engaging in today's discussion and leading my discussion where I go. I'm going to let you guys dictate this video, essentially. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. But let's get into what you all are saying in the comments down below. We've already got B talking box office, 302 million worldwide. Yes, that is the case, and it's really good. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Joshua says, "What's up, Austin? What's up, Joshua? How you doing?" And we already have some thoughts. And I think, are you guys ready? I think we can just dive right into what people are saying about this film. So the first one that I want to get into comes from Thomas Allen, saying this entire movie is disappointing from beginning to end. Ragnarok is miles better than this garbage. Ooh, Thomas, feisty. Not sure what Taika was thinking. He must have been high on shrooms while coming up with ideas. Wow, Thomas with the disdain for Thor: Love and Thunder. Man, I respect the commitment. I disagree with the sentiment. Jonas says, could have loved this if they took more time with the drama of Gorr, Jane, and their parallels instead of the comedy makes Thor too goofy for me. Jonas, I understand that to a degree. A big issue that I had with the movie was the heavy focus on the comedy. You look at the goat skit, you look at a couple of things that they did in the first act, and that made it feel a little bit tonally distant for me, right? Because while we love the comedy in Thor Ragnarok, the comedy in Thor Love and Thunder does tend to take it overboard. Now, in my opinion, it gets better, it settles in, and the second half was far better than the first half, but that is part of my complaint was the comedy. I don't mind Thor himself playing it goofy at points. You are right in the sense that we could have gotten a bit more of that dramatic side of Thor, kind of what we got in the first Thor, a man who is on a mission, but also a man who has lost, and at this point at the end of this movie, everything. And I appreciate that when you're looking at the character of Thor. Yeah, I do believe Thor was a bit too goofy in this film, but again, I do think there was that staleness of Thor: The Dark World where he started to become a boring character. So you're trying to make him a more dynamic character, but you may be taking that a bit overboard in Thor: Love and Thunder, right? Didn't hate it. I thought it worked at points in this movie, But like I said, and I've said many, many times, the first act of this film I thought was a bit of a mess. Thankfully, it does start to find its footing, in my opinion. Derek says, I want a Korg solo project with Dwayne and him taking care of his baby. Yeah, that was definitely a gag that they went for at the end there, and something that they build up or built up with Korg's story earlier in the film. But I did laugh. I will admit some of Korg's bits in this movie didn't work as well as what they did in Ragnarok, but that was one, and a couple others at the end that I did chuckle at and did make me giggle just because the delivery and Taika's delivery works really well. Hey, Austin, Thor kills more gods than Gorr the Butcher. I don't think that's the case. I think we see it on screen, Thor killing the gods in this the god in Zeus, even though he's not dead. So I did want more of that sequence from Gorr, right? Going around killing the gods, right? That's what makes him a terrifying villain. I think Christian Bale plays it really well. But in my opinion, we needed more of Gorr actually butchering the gods. I get it. That's not the point of this film. You have kind of that backstory there that builds up Gorr as a character. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I did want to see more Gorr killing the gods, which was really a really interesting thing about his character that I just didn't really get enough from. Or enough of at the end of the day. Jonas has a ranking here. Ragnarok, Thor. Oh, interesting. Love and Thunder, and then all definitely over the Dark World. I would switch, and you guys saw my ranking, right? So I would switch Love and Thunder and Thor, but they are very close. I think both are good movies. Both are drastically different movies. There are filmmaking things in the first Thor that I don't love, but for the most part, I think both movies are fun. But yeah, Ragnarok, clear, far and away, not even close. 100% better than all three films. The Ruby Tuesday says, my goat greeting. And then Ruby Tuesday, thanks for being here, my friend. You have something in your hair, bro. Yeah, I did. My wife put a string in my hair before we started. So sorry about that. Yeah, she was throwing stuff at me in the car. Thomas Allen says movie is joke. Thomas Allen is not happy over this film. Let's see. We have let me make sure we have some nice comments here. We have a dead daughter and a stage 4 cancer storyline. Could have had a more emotional moment. They threw the Guardians away in a hurry. I completely agree with that. Thor's my favorite hero. This was disappointing. So yeah, listen, the Guardians thing for me, they're in the movie, they're present in the first act of the film, and then they're kind of gone. And a big disappointment for me was Star Lord and Thor's relationship in Infinity War was a really good relationship, and I hoped that would carry over into this film. And you really don't get all that much from it. Now, was that the point of the movie? No, so I can't strike that too hard against it. But yes, I did want more from their relationship. But the cancer storyline, and the cancer storyline is something that I really want to bring attention to because that's something that I didn't know if they would include it in this film or not. And while the movie does go a bit overboard with its comedy, I did feel as if it handled the cancer storyline with class when we're focused on that, right? Anytime Jane was struggling with that and the idea of her, like the scene where she goes and uses the hammer to break the sink and then has a little conversation with Valkyrie, that for me was something that I thought was great, but I thought we needed more of at the end of the day. It worked extremely well, but I definitely wanted more of that. Regardless, I do like the idea of them including that at the beginning because that's something they could have easily avoided. They could have just given Jane powers to give Jane powers. And the storyline from the comics that they utilized here worked in the movie's favor big time because by the time we get to the end of the film, it's one of those things that I truly believe enhanced that third act and made it a third act that really, really worked for me. There was just a nice mixture of everything. And I've seen a lot of people talk about the in battle with the kids and how that was too over the top. But that to me felt very, very Taika Waititi. That felt like Hunt for the Wilder People, Jojo Rabbit. Those scenes where the kids are either rushing into battle or you get those comedic gags that come from something like that. But I really, really enjoyed that moment. And like I keep saying, the third act as a whole worked extremely well. I wish the first act complemented that third act just a bit better. Scrolling down and looking at some of your all's comments. Let's see. The Derek says the dwarf who forged Stormbreaker was cut from the movie. He could have been the one that one of the kills They could have made Gorr more impactful. Derek, I agree with that. I agree with that. I feel as if one or two kills from Gorr the God Butcher would have absolutely made that more. And they expect you to, realize it's happening off screen. I get it. I really get it. But yeah, I'm with you. I wanted to see one or two kills. Um, oh, Srath says, "I miss boring Thor." See, I don't. I don't miss the Thor from Thor: The Dark World. I think we've moved past that. What I do miss is a better balance for Thor, which is why Ragnarok was the perfect balance for me. He was comedic, but at the same time kept that seriousness, especially that moment at the end with Hela. So I definitely do not miss boring Thor, but I do wish we would have scaled back just a bit on this film because I think it genuinely would have been a great movie without so many gags, right? But with all of the gags, it kept it from that greatness, which was very disappointing. It wasn't as good as Ragnarok, but I still liked the movie a lot. Most of the jokes landed, but some of them, like Stormbreaker Beer One, didn't land. It had the emotions and action, 8 out of 10. Thank you for the short review. And if you guys have a short review of this movie, be sure to type it with a score, and I'll be sure to bring that up on screen. I appreciate that. Thomas Allen says, salute all. No, Thomas, listen, any thoughts are welcome, good or bad. People tend to forget that Thor became, or what Thor became in Endgame, how much Thanos affected him, and how much of that tone's carried into Love and Thunder as well. Yeah, I completely agree. I think where Thor is at in Endgame has carried over fairly well, in my opinion, right? Again, I think they're going overboard on some of the humor, but he is a very different character now, which is good. I think we're seeing growth. It might not be the growth that everyone wants to see, but it's good for the character, and hopefully they're going to scale back on some of this stuff in another movie because inevitably there will be another film. Let's see. I think I've already got to that one, so let me go to this next question here. I had a great. Why was your wife fighting with you in the car? No, she was not fighting with me. She was just tossing things at me, and we were on our way to Target to buy. Actually, I'll go ahead and tell you guys. We were on our way to Target to buy the half off Thor hammer, Mjolnir, which is the Marvel Legends hammer, right? It was $120, and I said, "I'm not buying that." And then it went down to 60, and I said, "I'll buy it." So we went down there, sold out. They had 4 in stock. They were completely sold out. It was a sad day in the Burke household. Marvel fatigue has finally hit me, says TJT Reviews. Um, Here's why I think there is Marvel fatigue across the board, right? And I believe the number is 12. You guys can correct me on that if I'm wrong. I think there have been 12 projects since the start of 2020. That's 12 projects in 2 years. That is a lot, right? And for me, actually, I believe it might have even been 2021, right? For me, they were supposed to be spread out, end of 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. That's a little over 3 years, as opposed to getting all of these projects within about a year and a half. So that's part of why I believe there is Marvel fatigue. It's also just the idea of so many different routes and avenues, and Endgame really did feel like a culmination of everything. We expected them to carry on, absolutely. But once you start with all of these new characters and new things and new ideas, that can start to wear a lot of people down. People who are saying that it's it's not successful anymore, I don't know what those people are looking at or thinking about, or frankly, I don't think there's any sense in that statement. You look at Thor: Love and Thunder's opening, you look at Doctor Strange's opening, and no, they're not. I mean, Thor: Love and Thunder is not gonna hit $1 billion, but Doctor Strange came close. Thor: Love and Thunder will come close, right? They may have bigger drops because the reception isn't entirely great, but at the end of the day, these projects are still successful, and it cracks me up when people say Top Gun: Maverick saved the box office. No, Marvel and even Jurassic World, right? These movies have been keeping the box office afloat. The Batman did very, very well at the box office for a new project and the hesitation for Robert Pattinson. So Top Gun Maverick didn't save the box office. It owns the box office right now, that's for sure, and that's a fact. But it didn't save the box office. These bigger blockbusters, Marvel specifically, but I didn't like Jurassic World, right? I don't think the movie's very good. I think it's boring. But for me to say that movie was a failure is a lie. It's not true. So just because I didn't like it doesn't mean it's a box office fail. You know what I mean? Just you have to separate those 2 things, and I'm seeing a lot of that online, and people are just like, "Oh, people are done. Everybody's done with Marvel," and I'm like, "It made $140 million opening weekend. What planet are you living on?" I mean, what and it did, 20 million more than Thor Ragnarok, right? And that was a more beloved movie. It'll have a steeper, drop off, absolutely, and it's not gonna hit $1 billion for sure, but you gotta separate your like, your enjoyment, your love for something from if it's actually successful or not, and so far, Thor: Love and Thunder did well. I enjoyed Lightyear. I can come right out and say it. That movie was a box office it's pretty much a bomb, right? Didn't do great at the box office. It did fine, but in terms of our expectations, that one didn't do great. So you have to kind of separate those 2 things and look at it just from that standpoint, that viewpoint, and, that's just the way it is. We'll talk about excitement levels, Bill. Stick around, ask that question a little bit later. We'll get into some of these things once we're done with the review, but I'm gonna keep going with your all's thoughts because I wanna get your all's thoughts on this movie. Chris Smith said, "The goats are the goats." So you enjoyed the goats. I wasn't a big fan of the goats, but they didn't really take away from the rest of the film for me. I missed the balance of dramatic and comedic Thor from Infinity War. Yeah, that's something that I think I wanted a little bit more of, for sure. Love and Thunder was enjoyable. Bell and Portman were incredible. I didn't like how Jamie Alexander was wasted. That I can definitely agree with, and how Gorr didn't get a lot of screen time. Prefer Ragnarok, 7 out of 10. Good review. I think that's a good review, solid, concise, some really good thoughts there. I think Marvel is rushing way too much content. Yeah, I think there's a lot of content. Now, again, part of that is because of the pandemic, and they're just kind of having to get it all out because if they keep piling up, then we're going to get 12 projects just next year, right? So they have to release it eventually. But yeah, they are piling on a lot. Yeah. Jonas says it best, partly due to 2021 with 2 years worth of MCU projects. Yeah. And that is the unfortunate part of what this is spawning right now for Marvel. Lexay says, like this video, otherwise Thor will beat you with his hammer. Oh, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's the case. But if you guys are here and you want to drop that like or leave a super chat, any of those things, I appreciate it. Regardless, we're here. We're rolling with what you all have to say. Michael says, I don't know if anybody already said this, but Gorr was great. Michael, yes, I agree with that. I think Gorr is a great character. He's a character that we wanted more of. I think that's a testament to Bell's performance. I think that's a testament to what he brought to that character, right? The shadow monsters, they were hit and miss for me, right? They didn't look great. I could have used more of Gorr actually slaughtering the gods, which would have been cool. But for the most part, I thought Gorr worked for at least what they were going for with the character. All right, here we go. Sour lemons. Yeah. This is what I want to talk about for sure. Thoughts on Roy Kent joining the MCU, and what does this mean? Or does this mean we're getting a 4 or 5? By the way, thanks for the follow back on Letterboxd. That was cool. No sour lemons. I caught a review of yours. I was impressed, so I got you a follow back on there. But Roy Kent, yeah, our guy from I know him from Ted Lasso. I think he's phenomenal in that series. He was someone that I never would have expected to play Hercules, but that is who he's playing. That was the first post-credit scene of the movie, and you know what? That's pretty cool. It's definitely gonna be one of those characters that you know what the motivations are. He's not a full-on villain. He's doing it to get revenge. Zeus is still alive, all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, the idea of him playing Hercules is one that I think is cool. And you ask, does this mean we're getting a Thor 5? I think absolutely no doubt in my mind we're going to get another Thor film because that's what they're building up to. This one's already a great opening weekend at the box office. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. But I did enjoy the post credit scene for sure. The chat cave. What's up, Austin? What's up, Treehouse? Thank you so much for being here. Your thoughts on Eternity, as I know little to none about that character from the comics. It just seems like the most powerful character moving forward. Yeah, Eternity is a character that they mentioned it I wanna say it's Guardians 2 when, Star-Lord gets his eyes opened from his father, right? When I believe Kurt Russell kinda puts his hand and the big glow in Star-Lord's eyes. I think he says eternity. I think that's the moment where he says eternity, and that's the first time they mention it, and I said, "God, they're not gonna bring eternity into the MCU." The whole alas, we get to this film and we get full on eternity. That was really great. It was surprising. I didn't know how they were going to utilize this character. And that was kind of the end game of this film is who's going to get to eternity first? Is it going to be Thor and his people? Is it going to be Gorr? To what they think is going to be a slaughtering of the god. We're going to wipe out everything because his motivations are prominent. They're obvious. But that was the moment of the movie where I found so much emotion. I said, one, I thought it was brilliant when they get to eternity and Gorr, first of all, the visuals in that moment were really, really great. But when Gorr makes the decision of, I want my daughter back and I want you to be the one to take care of my daughter, that was beautiful. I loved that moment, and that for me was the point where I said, "Okay, I actually like this movie. I like what they're going for, with this type of thing, even though they didn't keep that tone all throughout the film." But I thoroughly enjoyed that, and the idea of having eternity in this film, even with Gorr, the God Butcher, worked extremely well for me. So, yeah, B, thanks for your thoughts on that. Eternity, just really, really great for sure. ZJ13 says conflict film 7.1 out of 10. Um, G Kobe P, it's when people say Marvel's quality has fallen off or the movie hasn't been as great as it used to be. I mean, the Infinity Saga had some bumps and in the road leading to Endgame. Yeah, it did. You know, we tend to forget about movies like Thor: The Dark World and The Incredible Hulk and you look at Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp came out right after Infinity War, and we look at that movie and we're like, "Yeah, it's not that good." It's okay, it was fun. I enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp, but it's not that good, right? But we don't ever talk about it. We talk about the quality of Marvel. We're just like, "Yeah, Marvel sucks now, and Marvel was great then." It's like, no, there were bumps in the road, right? And you may think there are more bumps now than there used to be. For me, Black Widow was a bit of a bump. Eternals gets less good the more I watch it. So it hasn't been great. And there was some disappointment with Doctor Strange. There's some disappointment with Thor. But in terms of completely falling off, I look at Jurassic World, 2 bad movies in a row. I look at Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker, a bad movie. I still haven't seen a truly bad movie in Phase 4. You're gonna disagree with me 100%, that's okay. A lot of people think Eternals is bad, that's fine, but I haven't seen it. So, disappointing? Yes. Bad? Our standards, man. 20 years ago, the thought of seeing Thor on screen with Loki was insane, absolutely insane. But now we have Thor, Loki, Gorr the God Butcher, the mighty Thor, Valkyrie. It's we're kinda spoiled with content, and I'm seeing that the more I open Twitter. I just feel like we're kind of spoiled. We're kind of spoiled with content. Big D says, "The goats cracked me up." Yeah, they didn't crack me up, but I see why they included them. I see why people enjoy them. Actually prefer Thor how the Russos depicted him. That's the thing, Big D, about the Russos, man. It felt like they knew every character to a T except for Hulk. I'm actually really enjoying Phase 4. They're testing different ways to tell stories, and Miss Marvel, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and more. So I don't think I'm going to get that Marvel fatigue. Yeah, here's the thing about being, extremely different with your projects, and I feel like they're doing that with Phase 4. You're not gonna have your consensus, "Oh, that was great." A lot of people are gonna love it, a lot of people are gonna hate it, but that's just one thing about experimentation with these types of movies is you're going to have fans, you're gonna have people who have disdain for that. It's just like, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's hard to gauge whether they should keep going with that or, I don't know, change it back up and go back to what they did in Phase 1. I'm just not sure. I like Gore's performance in the movie. Yeah, I did too. I thought it was great. The sense of humor of movie is so good. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that love the sense of humor in this film. I just wanted a better balance. That was kind of my thoughts on this. Word of mouth is going to sink this flick, Gabrielle. I don't know, maybe post opening weekend. I think we've already had a really, really strong opening weekend. So it's not something that's going to sink, but it's definitely going to affect it, in my opinion. We may see a 55-60% drop for this movie next weekend for sure, but it will not sink it. Thor 5 will be slapstick comedy. I hope not. I was okay with this being more of a romantic comedy because that's the type of story that they were telling. But at the end of the day, I'm not entirely sure. Hang on, guys. My father is texting me. Give me a second. Father? What does father want? Here we go. Yes. I'll have to text him back. Um, yeah, I hope it's not a slapstick comedy. Hercules versus Thor will be cool. Yeah, I agree. You're mixing 2 different mythologies, you're mixing 2 different types of characters, especially with the casting there. I'm excited for something like that to play out on the big screen. Joseph Curtis with the first super chat of the day. Joseph, I wanna say thank you for, helping out and being in this chat room today. Let's see what you say. Fans be like, tired of these films teasing sequels. Now fans be like, "OMG, this movie doesn't do anything for the future of the MCU." Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that. I whatever you get is the opposite of what people are going to want, right? If you get a movie that doesn't tease the future, they're gonna ask to tease the future. If you get a movie that teases the future too heavily, and I get it, quality for me, you have to focus on that. So whether it teases a future movie or not, I just want a good movie. I want a good story. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. If it teases or if it doesn't tease, whatever. So I keep getting phone calls from my father. Can you guys give me 1 second and let me answer him to make sure everything's okay? Give me a second. Right? I'll put you on mute, but you can see my mouth. Okay. Yeah, I'll send you a picture. It's Mjolnir. It's Jane's version of Mjolnir. It's 60, I think it's like 63 bucks. So I'll shoot you a picture of it. All right, love you. Bye. Y'all, I got my parents on board. Let's go. Let's let's go. I sent my mom, I said, "Hey, if you guys come across this at Target, let me know." And so I'm shooting my dad a picture and see if he can, find the Thor hammer, the Mjolnir. That's that's incredible. I didn't know why he was calling me. I got nervous. Okay. Infinity War Thor was the sweet spot. Zach says, "Spoiler." Yes, there's a lot of spoilers here. I'm disappointed that Thor didn't say it's Morbin time. Fuzzy Wuzzy, listen, I was so disappointed. I wanted a Morbius cameo. That's kind of where we're at with cameos now. If we don't get a Morbius cameo or a Mephisto cameo, and I don't know if you guys saw Russell Crowe was actually originally there was concept art of him as Satan, which is could have been Mephisto. So we almost got Russell Crowe finally as Mephisto. I think that would have been interesting. Um, let me make sure there's no more super chats here, guys, and we'll keep scrolling down. Try to get as many questions answered or thoughts as I can. People seem to miss the fact that Zor and Thus were to reinforce Gorr's belief that gods were useless a-holes and deserved to be killed. That's a great point, and that's a point that I saw. And you know what? Gore's idea of gods being useless, it's not without merit, right? And you understand why he's doing what he's doing, but at the same time, you can take one look at Zeus and be like, yeah, I mean, he's not really doing much. He's not really helping much. So, yeah, I can kind of get behind that idea and kind of Gore's mission here. And it makes you feel a little bit more for that character, which is great in my opinion. The goats weren't funny the first time. Yes, I'm fine with one gag with the goats, but to keep it going like that, yeah, it's just that's the kind of humor that I don't like, that I don't enjoy. Do you feel like Marvel series are most of the time subpar? Marvel series, I loved Loki and WandaVision, and you guys can go to my tier list that I just put out and talked about this more in detail. I didn't love Falcon and the Winter Soldier like I wanted to. Honestly, I didn't love Moon Knight like I wanted to. I was disappointed with Moon Knight. What If was pretty good, but not great. Miss Marvel, I haven't loved the last couple of episodes. I loved the first 2 episodes. I'm like, "Okay, we're great." But as soon as we start getting into that villainous storyline, I haven't loved it. So, I don't wanna say subpar as a whole because Loki and WandaVision were keeping that afloat, but I have been disappointed in some of the series. Ragnarok Thor Elite, I agree. The goats got old really fast. I agree. Not bad because Oh, hey, whoa, 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 hang on. Let's go, let's go. Not bad because Disney gives you money to lie. No, here's what I need money for. And I don't get it, but I need money for stupidity like this. Zach, I'm sorry, But when people say that, I'm like, "That's the dumbest." That's the dumb listen, I love y'all. I appreciate you for being here and asking questions and leaving comments. But when people say I get money to talk good about a studio, that it's just ignorance, in my opinion. It's pure ignorance to say that someone gets paid. Now, maybe people do get paid. That might be the case. But I'm a dude that lives in Kentucky that sits in his basement and makes YouTube videos. You think Disney gives a rip about what I say about their movie? You think they give a crap about me praising their movie or not? I'm sorry. I'm usually very nice about stuff like this, but this might be the dumbest chat I've ever gotten in a live stream. So there you go, Zach. Thanks for playing. All right. Thomas Allen says, we waited a very long time for these movies to drop and pray we won't be disappointed. It really sucks when that happens. It happened for me after watching this catastrophe. Hates. Thomas hates this movie. I understand that. Listen, disappointment is the worst, right? When you watch a big film like this and it doesn't live up to your expectations, that hurts, right? I think going about it in an aggressive way, like some people are, is unwarranted, but I get it, right? You hold these things to your heart, you're passionate about them, so I completely understand why someone could feel, disheartened like that. So I'm sure you're not alone, Thomas. I understand, right? I wasn't that. I still enjoyed the movie, but there definitely was a little bit of disappointment there, especially coming off of Ragnarok. Um, let's scroll down a little bit more here, guys, and see what you all are saying. Make sure we didn't get any super chats here. Is Love and Thunder worth watching? I would say yes, it is worth watching, especially if you're a fan of Thor. Thomas Allen says some of the costumes were silly looking. I disagree. I think the costume design was really good, so I think I just disagree with that point entirely. Russell Crowe was wasted. No, I don't think he was wasted. I think it's a different take on Zeus. And honestly, I think he's a little more accurate to Zeus than some other takes we've seen. He kind of is that at points. So I didn't hate his take on Zeus, but I didn't love the character, right? I'm just kind of in the middle on it. It could have been anyone, to be honest with you. It could have been anyone. So I guess wasted isn't the worst word to use for that. Do you think Thor 5 will be violent like Doctor Strange 2? I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't want to say it's going to be a 180. I think they're going to slightly go in a different direction. And now that Jane is gone, I think they could go in a different direction. And I would be okay with that. I would be okay if they kind of opened up and went in a went in a different direction. We have a super chat here. We have a super chat here from Chase. Chase says, "I am from Disney and paying you." Man, Chase, thanks, man. This is my Disney guy right here, Chase. He's from Disney. He's obviously paying me because he's sending me a super chat. Chase, listen, man. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to send that big old check. Come to my house like they used to in the 90s and present the checks to people, and it'll say Disney on it, and I'll accept it. I'll be like, "This is for me enjoying Disney content." That's how I feel when I get statements like that, Chase. But thank you for for paying me, Chase. You're awesome, dude. I appreciate that. Why are all the Love and Thunder pops sold out? I'll tell you what. I got lucky. I got lucky. Comics Clash. Let me take this down so you guys can see it. My local Hot Topic. If you guys have a Hot Topic or a box lunch, those are two places, and they keep getting them in stock like every week. So if you can't find Thor pops, go to your local Hot Topic, go to your local box lunch, and see if they have them. Maybe find a Facebook page or something like that, because that's where I got these. But I will say, every time they come in stock, they do sell out fairly quickly. So yeah, they've sold out pretty quick. Big follower, and I think you should introduce us to more foreign movies with your reviews. I try to do, especially lately, I've tried to do some more foreign films, but we'll talk about that another day for sure. Taika pulled a Patty Jenkins with this one. Okay, that's an interesting thought. I think they rushed the opening Gorr objective. His whole personality changed in 3 minutes. What do you think? Yeah, I don't want to say his whole personality changed. I thought he was actually a very consistent character. I thought Gorr worked for what they were trying to do with him and stayed consistent throughout the film. But it definitely was a starting out really, really dark and then going a lot less dark as the movie progressed. So I wish they would have kept that consistency throughout the movie. Guys, let me send this picture to my dad really quick. Bada bing, bada boom. and sent. Okay. So we've got Thomas Allen said LOL. With the exception of Christian Bale, I really didn't enjoy this film. That's fair, Jace. That's fair. And I think that's one thing that people, if you don't like the movie, you don't like the movie. You don't have to say you like the movie just because a lot of people. Now, this one is a little bit more divisive. So I think we're honestly a little split with the audiences, even though I've seen more people that enjoyed it than didn't enjoy it. But uh, that's one thing I want to preach here is if you don't like something, you don't have to hide that. Be open with it. Now, don't be aggressive with it. All right, but definitely be open with it. That is fair, and I think this should be a safe space for people that don't enjoy or do enjoy movies like this. That's what this is all about. Your thoughts on what needs to be fixed in Phase 4? I think we need less quantity, more quality. I think that's a concern that everybody's sharing, but I don't want to hold that against Disney or Marvel because again, we were delayed an entire year and a half with these movies. So while it would have been spread out over 3 years, instead it was spread out over about a year and a half, and that's just a lot, okay? So, I the idea of, expression from directors and kind of what Sam Raimi did with Multiverse of Madness, I enjoy that. I appreciate them letting a filmmaker do something like that. Maybe a good criticism would be not rushing stories, because for me, the first act of Multiverse of Madness was rushed. The first act of Love and Thunder was rushed. That's a problem, and that's not something we need to maintain and keep with these projects. So maybe not rush through these stories, allow them to play out, take your time, give us character-centric moments. Don't go overboard, don't go too heavy with some of the comedy, this and that. And I'll fully admit, the more I thought about the comedy with Thor: Love and Thunder, the more I was just kind of like, it didn't work. It was almost like the Far From Home syndrome, and I enjoyed Far From Home, I did. But the comedy in the first act of Far From Home was significantly worse than the comedy in the first act of Homecoming, and that's how I felt about this film, and that's how I feel about Guardians 2. Actually, the more that I think about it, the more I would compare Thor: Love and Thunder to Guardians 2. Not only do you have a major emotional death at the end of the film in Jane and in Yondu, you also have, an overworking of CGI at points, both films. You have a focus on comedy, jokes that don't play very well or not as well as the first film. There you go. I would argue that the villain in Love and Thunder is, actually, I'd say they're about the same. I like Ego as a villain. I like Gorr as a villain, but both deserved a bit more. So I think this is right in line with Guardians 2, and I think both movies are kind of neck and neck for me in the MCU. Uh, Even though, you know, mm, people don't think about that. Any words for Black Panther 2? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Aaron, that's a good question. When you don't have Black Panther, that worries me. Now, they could make an amazing story, they could pass the mantle down to Shuri, whatever they're going to do, but you have to nail it, and I'm very, very worried for that. It's got me scared. I'll just say that. But I do love Coogler as a director, so we'll see what happens. B says, "Who would you like to return in the future and be announced at San Diego Comic-Con? Sam Raimi, Taika Waititi, or Chloe Zhao?" I love Chloe Zhao as a director. I think she's had her run in the MCU, and I don't think they're going to bring her back. Sam Raimi, I'm on board with Sam Raimi. Taika needs to be maybe controlled a bit more with his sensibilities. I don't want him to keep going more and more overboard, right? But I do think Taika is a good director. I mean, Thor: Love and Thunder was the first time I've been, I want to say genuinely disappointed, but a little disappointed in his filmography. So I love all of Taika's movies. Thor: Love and Thunder did disappoint me, but that was the first time. So he just needs to be honed in a little bit, hone the guy in. But Sam Raimi is my choice. I hope they bring Sam Raimi back for another one. I'm from the Ruby Tuesday said, "I'm from DC and I'm paying you." That's going to be an ongoing joke, and I love it. Ruby Tuesday, thanks for the super chat, Ruben. Thank you. I appreciate that. Uh, oh my God, I love you guys. Christian Bale carried this film on his back. I thought Natalie Portman was good, but Bale was amazing. There's no denying, Sarah, there's no denying what you said there. Gorr was great because of Christian Bale. Gene says, "Thanks, Austin. I think the movie is a mix of two movies." That's fair. That's very fair. I think tonally inconsistent. Your Max says, "You're doing great, honey. Kisses from Bob Chapek." The guy over. It's great. Listen, guy, hey, Thank you, Disney, for the payments. I like how they're in small increments, though. So, one of these days I'll get that big check in the mail, but somebody's gotta deliver it. Somebody has to deliver it, by hand. I gotta hold a smile. I'll post a picture when I get the big check. I'll make sure I post a picture. I'm from Canada, and I'm paying you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. Hello, Austin Burke. Next Wednesday on July 20th is my 23rd birthday. Well, guess what? July 21st is my 27th birthday. Birthday bros. Let's go. Birthday bros. So we're getting close to my birthday. I might do a little birthday stream. That'll be fun. Um, Thor: Love and Thunder felt like a Farley Brothers movie. Interesting. I disagree because I think Farley Brothers comedy is just different. It's just different than Taika's comedy. It's two different things. Um, Interstellar is MCU canon for me for some reason. Oh my god. I hear there are a bunch of cutscenes with Gorr. I would not doubt that. I feel like we needed more from Gorr when it came to the god butchering, and the idea of there being more things on the cutting room floor, I could agree with that. I could get behind that for sure. I remember you flexing 20K subscribers on your Twitter, bro. Well, I try not to flex. I try not to go overboard with when I hit the major milestones, yes, but I hope it didn't come across as a flex. And look at where you are now. So proud of you. But I do, and I remember you specifically being a big part of my journey, and all of you guys have been a big part of my journey. So thank you so much for the super chat, and thank you so much for that, and thank you guys for being here today. Look, I think we've had for a my first time doing a spoiler, live spoiler review, and you all being here and being so supportive. We're at 70 likes right now. We've had a couple super chats. I think this has been a success. I think this has been a lot of fun, and I would love to do more things like this in the future for movies that don't have maybe as many Easter eggs. Thor had some Easter eggs, absolutely, but it didn't have as many. So I thought we could get away with the spoiler live stream as opposed to a full Easter egg spoiler video. Pretty good. Also, the Matt Damon as Loki joke. That whole thing this time was unfunny. Wow, it worked on Ragnarok, and here I just felt the joke fell flat. That's actually something that worked for me. I'm with you guys on the goats. I'm with you guys on some of the other things, but I thought the Matt Damon, uh, even what's her name, McCarthy being in, I thought she was funny. I thought that whole gag was good, and I would actually put those characters slightly above the Guardians as a presence in this film because the Guardians just didn't really do all that much. Even those guys came back a little later when they were having that big like town hall meeting. So yeah, count me in as someone who actually enjoyed the presence of those characters. I think my biggest issue with post Endgame Marvel is lack of vision. I don't. You mean not the character vision? You mean vision? Got it. Doesn't feel like it's all accumulating to one thing. I see that. I kind of see where they're headed. I kind of see where they're headed, but at the same time, I'm with you on the fact that there are so many things that are doing different things. I hate using the word things over and over, but it does feel a little disjointed in that way. It will come together, in my opinion, and the storyline that they set up in Loki, I feel as if that's the future. Now, if it's not, then I take everything back that I said, right? But building up Kang the Conqueror is that direction that it feels like they're going with all the grounded things at play, a grounded villain, maybe a Doctor Doom type character. But it does look like we're going to get another big showdown at some point. I just hope they take their time and build that up. That's one thing I would love for them to just slow down a bit more and maybe go a bit more in the build up direction for sure. Eternals or Love and Thunder? Oh, Love and Thunder for me, for sure. Eternals is I still enjoy Eternals, to be honest with you guys. I had no issues with the story, the different aspects that somewhat confuse people. I understand that. My issue with the movie was more storytelling as opposed to the story. It was storytelling. That was my problem, which is crazy because I love Chloe Zhao. But that being said, it does get worse every time I watch it. So I want to go Love and Thunder. I had way more fun with Love and Thunder, and I think it's a better film. How would you rank the Thor movies? Well, Seamus Patrick. I put a video out yesterday, and it's a short, it's a YouTube short, so I would appreciate if you guys would go check that video out. It would help me out. Appreciate it. But I won't shortchange you. I'll just give you a quick ranking. If you want details, you can go to that vid. Thor Ragnarok, Love and Thunder slightly above Thor, and then The Dark World is way down there because I can't get through it without getting tired. Austin, I will not stand for the Guardians 2 slander. It was way better than Love and Thunder, top 3 MCU. It's not slander. I really enjoy Guardians 2, but they are very similar movies. And I kind of sat and thought about it the other day. I'm like, that thing, that thing, overboard humor, not as good humor, some pacing problems, the very impactful death in the third act. They're very similar, not similar films in terms of story, but experiences for me, they're very similar. But I enjoy both. Again, I like both movies. I think they're both good films. Phase 5 needs more R-rated material to progress, and Deadpool needs a boyfriend. Michael says, well, listen, you mentioned the key right there, and the key is Deadpool. I think Deadpool is going to be the telltale sign of whether or not MCU can handle R-rated material, whether or not MCU can handle going that direction. And if they can, and if they nail that, if they nail Blade, if they bring in some more R-rated characters, if the Punisher comes out on Disney Plus and is TV mature, that's when I think Marvel's going to kick back up a notch. I kind of wanted that with Moon Knight. We didn't get it. We got more of a Marvel-ish type of show, which was okay. I thought Moon Knight was good. A little disappointed. I thought Moon Knight was good. But yeah, I'm with you on the R-rated material. I think that would be great. But Michael, thank you for the super chat. I truly appreciate that. By comparison, Phase 4 feels directionless in all its directions being set up. Different gods, Eternals, in space, torch passing, thunderbolts, multiverse. I don't, for me, I don't think everything, everything needs to be going in one direction. I like different storyline because, I mean, you think back to Phase 2, right? Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That had nothing to do with Thanos. You know what I mean? Like, what did that have to do with Thanos? I mean, I don't even know if was there an Infinity Stone in that movie, right? The first Ant-Man, that really didn't have anything to do with Thanos at all. I guess you could argue that Doctor Strange did, but that was just the Time Stone, right? So those films didn't necessarily point to the end game, literally the end game. Uh, but they were good and they were rock solid and they were maintained consistency and quality. I go back even further, Captain America: The First Avenger. That didn't have anything to do with Thanos. So um, I get it. I understand what you're saying for sure, but I'm okay with different storylines. But to me, it's more quality. To me, you have to maintain that quality. You have to maintain that consistency. So I'm absolutely okay with different projects. Just make sure they're good. I think we got some spammy spam. Guys, don't click on the spammy spam. I'm blocking the spam. Good Lord, these people are psycho. How do they find me? Don't click on the links. Please, God. Uh, let's see. What was your favorite scene in the movie? Scene in the movie. My favorite is what happened to Natalie Portman's character. The scene seriously shocked me. Yeah, that was probably the most heartfelt moment. For me, honestly, it's when Gorr goes up to eternity and makes the decision to bring his daughter back. I love that scene. I thought it was wonderful. That's what I wanted the movie to be. That's it. That's what I wanted the movie to be. I thought it was wonderful. Scott Derrickson or Raimi? As a director, Sam Raimi. As a Doctor Strange director, maybe Scott Derrickson. I prefer that movie more, so maybe Scott Derrickson, to be honest with you guys. We've got, I think the humor and emotion was way more balanced, though. I don't get the whole too jokey criticism with Guardians 2. It's not necessarily too jokey. It's the jokes don't land for me. Like it's not ripe. That kind of joke. Like, they just keep that going. That's kind of like the goats for me. It's just like not very funny. Why are you doing that? But I don't want to slander Guardians 2 because I like Guardians 2. It's just very similar. I see similar things in both movies. I see James Gunn going a little too James Gunn with Guardians 2. I see Taika Waititi going too Taika Waititi with Thor: Love and Thunder. But that's kind of how I feel. AJ said, Friday Night Trio, real quick, guys, real quick. Thief, Drive, Nightcrawler, rest in peace, James Caan in Thief, Michael Mann's debut. Yes, please, rest in peace. My goodness, that was heartbreaking this week. I love him in Elf. I think he's amazing in Elf. But that was so sad to see that. I loved hearing Al Pacino and everybody kind of speak up. But AJ, thank you for the super chat, my friend. We might dive more into that in the next live stream. But Drive is a great movie, and Nightcrawler is amazing, absolutely amazing. Ricky says, "Why didn't Thor or Jane make a wish?" So, Ricky, I thought about this. For me, the idea of eternity is the first person that gets there gets to make a wish. The first person. Now, Jane and Thor, they had the chance to be the first people a couple of times, but they were a little busy in the midst of that scene. And it's something that I need to go back and watch again, right? Um, but if it is indeed the first person that gets there, Gorr was the first person that got there. So to me, that says he's the only person that could have made a wish in that instance. Because part of me was like, why didn't Thor just go push him out of the way and listen, hey, be like, hey, answer my question, you know? But if it is the first person, then Gorr was the first. And he was the only one entitled to make a wish. Now, that's me thinking back. I need to see the film again, honestly, to kind of confirm those thoughts. But yeah, it it definitely would have been nice for Thor to make a wish and save Jane. But I think he knew, because he knew what eternity was. I think he knew he couldn't have. When he was laying there, Thor was already there. He beat him. He won the race. That's a great point, Rick. Great point. Something. See, that's what I want here. That's what I want is good questions, good perspectives like that. Would you love to see stories from Valhalla, or would it be going backwards in storytelling perspective? It's a good idea. It's a good idea. But at the end of the day, I don't want to, because I like the idea of characters being dead and staying dead. So, and that's something that Marvel's had an issue with, not Phase 4. That's something Marvel's always had an issue with. You know, Nick Fury's dead. Oh, he's back. Loki's dead. Oh, he's back. Loki's dead. Oh, he's back. Loki's dead. Oh, he's back. So it's like, okay, right? I think Jane's done. I think it was a nice way to go out. You keep her dead. You keep her in Valhalla. Uh, was that scene necessary? No, it wasn't necessary, to be honest with you. But I don't mind it, because it's like their version of heaven, and she can't come back. So hopefully she won't come back. And if she comes back, then I'll probably be upset. I think that is, like you said, going backwards with storytelling. And I don't want that to happen. So, but it's a good idea, but I don't want that to happen. Wait, the first Avengers had everything to do with Thanos. The first Avengers, yes. The first Avenger, Captain America. The first Avenger, that movie, not the first Avengers, the first Avenger. Now, granted, there is an Infinity Stone in that film for sure. So you are, I guess, putting the puzzle pieces together. But the totality of the story was to build up Captain America as a character. So, but yeah, not the first Avengers. I understand that was definitely I needed to phrase that a bit better. Do you feel as if Soldier Boy got wasted? Boy, won't talk about the boys here. We'll save that for another live stream. All the gods who survived Gorr. Let's see. Bass from Black Panther, Khonshu, Hercules, and the Dumpling. Dumpling God, yeah. Yeah. Listen, Khonshu, that's a good pull. That's a good pull. I think Khonshu is definitely, some of these characters that they just didn't really mention. I wanted more slaughtering from Gorr. I think you guys have brought up a great point today, and something that I've started to think about a bit more as we've went through this video. We needed more from Gorr actually killing the gods. I think that would have added a lot to his character. Gerald loves cinema. I enjoy the movie overall. Flaws aside, my rating is a B. It's pretty good. And that's a good rating. I think that's a good way to say it. It's pretty good. Why is Marvel making shorter movies lately? Love and Thunder was great, but needed another 30 minutes. Q Crew with the 49ers logo. Nice. I agree. I think Thor needed more time. Needed more time. Specifically in the first act. Because the first act was what felt so jumbled for me. Not only jumbled with its storytelling, but jumbled tonally, right? If you would have had some more scenes to slowly transition from the pure humor to Jane realizing she has cancer, to Jane talking to Dr. Selvig, spending more time there. Maybe the complaint at that point would have been it's too long. That's what she said. But I feel as if there's no balance in that first act. And that's what I needed with the movie, is to feel more of that balance. And then going into the second act, I needed to feel more of that balance. I just didn't get it with either. Well, really the first act, but even going into the second act, we needed a bit more from that. But it's a good point to bring up. 30 more minutes, maybe 20 more minutes would have helped. So maybe a longer movie for Thor: Love and Thunder, and maybe a shorter movie for some of these other MCU films as of late. Do you think the MCU is declining with its story and direction? Um, every movie's different. I think overall the first 3 phases were more focused, for sure, for sure. But I do like the idea of bringing in different directions. Like, I love bringing in Sam Raimi and letting him do his thing. I think that's great. Didn't work for everybody. It's not gonna work for everybody. That's just the way it goes. So, I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one, it's a tough one to answer. Mighty Thor would seem confusing for a lot of people to comprehend to call Jane, so calling her Lady Thor would be more fitting since there are two Thors, one male and the other one female. Well, now there's one Thor because she's dead. So I think that's I didn't mind. I thought it was fine the way it was, just because it was a one movie arc, and I don't. It didn't really bother me because it was such a short lived thing. But now there's one Thor because Jane got Jane dead. Connor says Thor: Love and Thunder felt like a parody of an MCU movie. Thor felt like and it'd be hard to take him seriously. Thoughts on how the MCU and its characters have changed for better or worse? I don't think it felt like a parody. I do think it. Oh, don't click on the spam. More spam. I do think it hurt a little bit the idea of Thor keeping that grittiness. I want Thor to have a better balance because Ragnarok, I thought, had a better balance. So it all comes down to what character you're talking about, because some of the characters have changed and stayed here. Other characters have went up, in my opinion. But for the most part, I want to keep that consistency. I want to keep the idea of Marvel, that grittiness. I want to keep that grittiness intact. I think that's what I'm looking for because the Russo brothers had such a good balance of that, right? You got your jokes. We're going from scene to scene. We'll tell a joke every now and then, but when it needs to get serious, it gets serious. And those movies did that, right? Winter Soldier, Civil War. I look at Civil War and that third act of Tony Stark seeing the video with his parents, Bucky killed him. Okay, there's no jokes in that moment. It's all emotions from Tony Stark and Captain America and Bucky. And that's a very emotional fight scene that didn't really feature any of that ridiculousness. That's what I want to see more of in Phase 4. Look, I don't hate what Taika did with this film for sure, but I do think there were some inconsistencies in this movie that prevented it from being great. And if you can work on those inconsistencies and I don't want to go fully dark with something like a Thor: Love and Thunder because it is at its core a romantic comedy. I've said that since the beginning. It was supposed to be a romantic comedy. It was a romantic comedy. People didn't want it to be a romantic comedy, but that's what it was, right? So, understandably so, it's not getting as good reception because it's a rom-com. I don't love rom-coms, but I enjoyed this. So, yeah, I just want to bring it back a little bit more of that grittiness that the Russo brothers brought to this franchise, and some other directors have done a good job with as well. Larry, probably the worst MCU movie so far. Ooh, I can't. I understand if you didn't like the humor. I completely understand. For me, saying it's worse than Thor: The Dark World actually makes my stomach hurt. So I can't get behind you on that one for sure because Thor: The Dark World is just. Ugh. And I've grown to not like Incredible Hulk. I used to defend that movie a lot. I defended it all the time. I say, "Come on, you guys are too mean to Incredible Hulk." And then I watched Incredible Hulk and I said, "Oh, this kind of sucks." So sorry, that's how I feel. But I get it. I understand why people don't like this film. Humor is a tough tightrope to walk. If you don't like the humor in something, right? There have been comedies that I've seen that I didn't like the humor in. People are raving about the comedy, and I'm just like, I didn't find that all that funny. So I didn't like it. Humor is a big, big thing when it comes to film criticism. But I think everybody's entitled to feel that way for sure. G. Colby P says, after that second post credits, I don't think that's the last we'll see of Jane Foster or even Heimdall. It didn't feel like a send off to me. So something tells me she's coming back like in the comics. If we get a way to talk to her and she doesn't physically return, that's fine. That's okay. But no, I don't want to see it. I don't want Jane to come back. I liked her in this movie more than I've ever liked her, but I don't want her to come back because I think that takes away the stakes. So, um, Larry said the goats were the best part. Okay, now I think Larry's trolling. I don't know if Larry actually thinks it's the worst MCU movie. I think Larry might be trolling. Odin mentioned Asgardians technically aren't gods. They live and die. So even if Gorr made the wish to kill all gods, Thor would still be alive and to be burdened with this humongous defeat. Interesting, B. Interesting. I didn't think about that. I thought of Thor as a god, but if Odin did say the Asgardians are technically not gods, that's an interesting point. I'll have to look more into that, B. But it's a good one. I appreciate that. All right, let's try not to ask the same question over and over, but I'll answer it anyway. I think they misused Christian Bale. He should have been given more screen time. They wasted a huge potential of his character. I don't think he was wasted. I think they used him well. but I didn't want more. I wanted more. And again, like I said earlier, this is a testament to his performance. The reason we wanted more is because he was so good. And that's just Christian Bale. He's absolutely fantastic, right? Fantastic in this movie. It's just when you don't use him to his full potential, that's gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way. So, I think that's all the oh, no, we got another one, worst MCU movie. See, again, guys, I Thor: The Dark World for me. I can't even comprehend putting this below Thor: The Dark World, but hey, to each their own. To each their own. I'll tell you that much. Okay, let's take a look at the box office really quick because we are running out of questions here. We've been going an hour. We'll get to Leap real quick. I enjoyed some of the jokes. Were not funny, but I still wish Bell got more screen time. He was great in that role. Anyway, as Loki and Odin are still in Valhalla. We're going to see them in Thor 5. If we cut to Valhalla and they stay in Valhalla, I'm completely fine with seeing them. If we don't, then I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them. I think they stay gone. Um, okay. So here we go. Let's take a look at the box office really quick because there's some really good things to talk about. Oh, this is new. It has me look, instead of on the side, it has me in it. That's kinda cool. I'm just gonna keep doing this. Is this jarring? Um, let's look at the box office for Thor: Love and Thunder. So, for perspective, the first Thor made $122 million at the box o I'm sorry, Thor: Ragnarok, not the first one. Thor: Ragnarok made $122 million opening weekend at the box office. Thor: Love and Thunder, 143, which in my opinion is really good. Maybe 150, 160 is what I was speculating, but still really good. Since, box office is dying, for the MCU and all apparently. 159 international, 302 worldwide. I think that's a good rock solid group of numbers, and in my opinion, while you're going to see a bigger drop off in week 2, that's 100% the case, okay? At the same time, I still like what is happening with this opening weekend because it gives us maybe, okay, we'll see, maybe a 60 to 70 million range in the second weekend to feel safe about. If we can get that, I'm going to feel really safe about this box office as a whole, and it's going to keep the Thor movies alive. And I just want to keep the Thor movies alive. Look, even though everyone didn't love this film, and that's completely understandable, I want another one to see if we can switch that back to people loving Thor again. And I think that's what this box office is doing so far. So second weekend with a bit of a lower cinema score, a B plus cinema score, which is tied with Thor: The Dark, or was it below Thor: The Dark World? I think it was below Thor: The Dark World, which is hilarious to me. But cinema score, that's just your reaction out of the theater. Not everyone loved the humor, this or that, or certain things about the film. But yeah, I think this is a rock solid box office for Thor: Love and Thunder. But I want to know, what do you guys think about this box office? I also want to know, if you're here and we're approaching the end of this video, approaching the end of this spoiler discussion, if you can help out this channel and drop that like down below, I would appreciate that oh so much. It not only helps this channel, but it tells me you want to see more of these live spoiler discussions, and we're almost at 100 likes, so that would be awesome. But listen, I've loved this. I've loved getting your all's perspective. I've loved you all bringing up some great points and some things that they're making me think. All right, they're making me think about the movie more in detail, the complexities of the characters, all of these things. So thank you. That is much appreciated. And we're going to hit a couple more of these comments before we go today. B says, great interactive live stream. Thank you. This was, I can't stress enough. Thank you guys for being here. This was awesome. I've always been hesitant about doing spoiler live streams because I'm like, are people going to care about me enough to tune in? But I appreciate it. It means a lot. And, it's almost therapeutic for me to talk about these movies like this. Ricky, thank you, Ricky, for another super chat. I appreciate that, man. I really do. What were the Guardians doing if not fighting Gorr? Especially when he made it back to New Asgard on Earth. Ricky, I hope the next Guardians movie answers that. I hope the next Guardians movie tells us kind of the time period of where they're at in comparison to what's happening in Thor: Love and Thunder. So maybe that mission that they were going on, or wherever they went after they departed from Thor, maybe that's what was happening during Love and Thunder. So I think that'll give us some good perspective. If they never mention it, then I guess we can just assume that was the case. Probably something to do with Gamora. I wish they would have said something more specific if that was the case. But I wanted more of the Guardians in this film. or at least more of that dynamic between Star-Lord and Thor, or heck, even Rocket and Thor, man. I thought the Russo brothers handled that really well. Let's see. We have enough funny characters in the MCU without making Thor an idiot for laughs. Sure, but Thor became interesting for me when he started to become more of a dynamic character. I don't want him to be an idiot, and I don't think he was an idiot in this movie, but they did lean it a bit too far in that direction, so I hope they scale that back a little bit. But yeah, Thor wasn't interesting for me really at all in his first 2 movies. He was given a little bit more to do in the first Avengers film, but especially in Thor: The Dark World, I think Thor is a very dull character, so at least he was dynamic in Ragnarok, and I hope we can get back to Ragnarok for sure. Let's see here. Apologies, I keep saying, and I hate saying that word, but I keep saying it. I think the cinema score is as mixed as Multiverse of Madness, which is interesting. Yeah, it is, Jonas. It is. I think there are some things in this film, you've got the crowd that goes around saying everything is woke. I think that may be a part of what that cinema score maybe, sort of, kind of, because I got a lot of woke comments on my reaction, unfortunately. Uh, and I don't know if it's entirely everyone's type of humor. So I think that's a big part of it. But yeah, it's definitely a lower cinema score than this movie would have wanted, for sure. We've got Damon with another super chat. Damon, thanks for being here. Do you think that Thor will reunite with Loki? I hope not, Damon. I hope not. The stakes, again, again, the stakes of what we got from that Loki death and what we got from Loki the series. I don't want to see that. Also, my favorite joke was Korg getting with Dwayne the Rock. Dwayne the Rock. I like that. Dwayne the Rock. I thought Dwayne. Wow. Okay, that was great. That was great. That was great. Yeah, no, that was a good joke. That joke really did make me laugh. So that was one from Taika. I'm like, all right, yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. The jokes in the first act, jokes in this act, we got somebody spamming, somebody doing the spammy spam. Let's get that out of here because I it's over and over and over the same comment. Thor fit in with the Guardians so well. I agree. Thor worked well with the Guardians. Um, okay, here's a bad criticism. You ready? Empty movie full of childish jokes, ridiculous Thor, along with everything around him. One big villain is not enough. Ooh, interesting. See, I like one villain. I don't like multiple villains. I think one villain is exactly what we need. Weakened dramatic traits. Sorry to be so critical. Don't apologize. Listen. Don't ever apologize for saying what you feel. I disagree. I don't think it was empty. I think there was a lot of good emotion in there. Uh, I don't think the jokes were childish throughout. There were some childish jokes, absolutely. And Thor did lean a bit more heavy into the jokey side of things than I wanted him to. But at the same time, I do like what we got in Ragnarok. So again, maybe I want Ragnarok 4 back because that movie was great. That movie was so great and everything worked so well. It's hard to, uh, you know, it's hard to capture that lightning in a bottle twice. It really is. Plus, something tells me after Moon Knight and how we talked about the afterlife, and now introducing Valhalla after it was mentioned in previous films, they might explore it in a possible Disney Plus series. Like the post-credit scenes always seem to set up future holds, with them putting her in entering Valhalla by the end, they might explore that aspect as much as we don't want it to. G. Kobe P. I completely agree. I think that is a possibility. I just don't want it. And hopefully fans, you know, will be kind of like not pushback, backlash, but will be hesitating enough and feel the emotion of Jane dying enough to not want that. And I felt that emotion. I thought it worked great. I thought it worked. So leave her be. Don't go back to her. You can mention her. Um, Heck, even if you go back to her, you know what? Fine. Just stay in Valhalla. Don't come back to Earth. You did. Stay dead. Let's keep the stakes. Let's keep the stakes. Love and Thunder, no dramatic thunder in this script. No dramatic. Oh, I disagree. I think there were some good drama, but yeah, definitely too much comedy. Have you seen Sean Chandler's review of the movie? He definitely didn't like it. It was an interesting perspective. By the way, you two are two of my favorite TV show movie reviewers. Jason, I haven't seen Sean's review yet. I've been very behind this weekend. Um, and I want to see Sean's review. I always love getting Sean's perspective. Listen, we get Sean and I get along very well. I do disagree with him on some of his takes, absolutely, but I think that is the beauty That is the beauty of movie film criticism. Sean always brings up great points. I am blocking this user because they're asking the same or saying the same statement over and over. Um, but no, I haven't seen Sean's review. I will definitely go watch it at some point. It's just, when you're in the space and you do the thing and you talk about movies over and over, sometimes you just need a break from other reviews. So I really, honestly, guys, I haven't really watched a lot of people's reviews on this film. So I don't know. I watched the Real James review. I've been reading reviews on Letterboxd, but I haven't watched a lot of videos on this one yet, just because when the controversy is so, how do I say that? How do I say it? On Twitter, when the controversy or the back and forth of a movie is so in your face, I just I don't have any interest in watching other reviews. But I love Sean, so I'll definitely watch his review at some point. It just kind of like, I want to move on to the next thing because Kyle says my ranking of the Thor movies: Thor Ragnarok, Thor the oh, Kyle, no, don't do this to me. Oh, the Dark World's so boring. How did you stay awake during the Dark World? Did you drink a monster? Please let me know down below. Um, Austin, are you going to be in Top Gun 3? I wish. Kaczynski, if you're watching right now, cast me in Top Gun 3. I would love to do it. I'd love to do it. I love Top Gun. Top Gun 2, best movie of the year. Look at this. Look at the big thing. Look at the big popcorn thing. Shout out to Jacob at the Cinemark for hooking me up with one of these. Oh, it's so cool. I love that movie so much. Yes. Um, let's see. King Valkyrie was also undermined. I thought Valkyrie was good. I thought Valkyrie was good in this film. They had to set up that battle at the end, so they had to take her out at a point, and I get why they did it because they didn't want the battle to be a little too complex, and you had all the kids and everything. So I get why they did it. But I liked Valkyrie in this movie. I thought I always think Valkyrie's good. She's a great actor. I personally loved Infinity War Thor, especially his black suit and speech with Rocket. Yes, I agree. I think Infinity War Thor is just talking standalones. Ragnarok Thor is amazing. Overall, Infinity War Thor is up there with maybe the best. With maybe the best. Uh, let's see. I think we will see more of Valkyrie. I do too. I think we'll see more of Valkyrie. I think we'll see more of Sif. Sif didn't really have anything to do in this movie. I personally don't know why she was in the film. They didn't give her much to do, but I love Sif. I think she's a great character, and I love her dynamic with Thor. It's just they forget about her, which is just I don't. It's not fair in my opinion because she's good. Um, Kyle says, watching The Dark World at 14 years old was an awesome experience, and Loki arc is one of my favorites, along with the great twist at the end. Interesting. When was 2013, right? So I was 17 when that came out, and I watched it with my dad. It was a good theater experience for me, and I enjoyed. Loki's good in the movie. Listen, when I talk bad about The Dark World, I don't think it's truly an awful film. It's just empty for me. It's a very empty experience, unfortunately. And I think the direction is lifeless, to be honest with you. At least, some of these more recent movies have had life to them. Yeah. Uh, let's see. Daniel says, it wasn't that it was too much comedy. It was that the jokes sucked or forced. Well, y'all ain't pulling any punches today. No one was laughing. It was trying too hard. The jokes were actually funny and organic, like Ragnarok, it'd be cool. Uh, I think some of the jokes worked. The goat stuff was dumb. Some of the ongoing gags were dumb, but I think some of the jokes. It was when they started to scale back on the jokes and make that third act very emotional is when I liked the film. So that's kind of where I am on it. We can disagree. That's okay. I started watching your channel last night. You were ranking the MCU films. Oh, thanks. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you for joining. That really means a lot to me. Chase says, if you're in Top Gun 3, you will not Chase, listen, that's true, Chase. Listen, if I'm in Top Gun 3, I don't get my Disney paycheck. You guys missed it earlier. Somebody told me I was being paid by Disney, and I said, I live in Kentucky. I'm in my basement, and look at me. Do I look like I'm getting paid? I mean, it does look like I'm spending a ridiculous amount of money, but that's because I love pop figures, and that's because I'm an adult. But in terms of Disney paying me, that doesn't happen. Insanity. Okay. But Chase, I love your super chats. They make me happy. Actually liked some of the Dark World and Asgard, notably up until the funeral of Frigga. Yeah, it's not without its moments. The Dark World's not without its moments. I just wish it was better. I wish it was better. We have the emotional stuff was good. Yes, Daniel, agreed, agreed. I think the emotional stuff was good. The emotional beats, and that's what kind of, Penguins, which I do watch Penguins, said he heard a dude sigh because of so many gags. I actually think he gave it a pretty good review, though. Didn't he give it a 6.5? I thought he gave Thor: Love and Thunder, which is he's a tough critic too. So I was actually kind of, I was actually a little shocked, but yeah, some people sighed. Sure, not everyone's going to respond to that humor. Uh, we have somebody bringing up some great gags and more spam. Great, more spam. Yes, I definitely need someone to help me out with the spam one of these days. So I'll be hiring. You're an adult, unsubbed. Daggone it. Yeah, I'm an adult. Shoot. Well, darn it. No, I'm a kid at heart. Does that count? What do you think of Jealous Stormbreaker? Also, the goats were great. Oh, you like the goats, Damon. You like the goats. Yeah, I didn't like the goats. But Jealous Stormbreaker, that was actually a gag that I thought was funny. I thought that gag was really, really funny, and that one made me laugh. Some people didn't. I think somebody said on Twitter, Jeremy Johns didn't like that gag. That's fine. I thought that gag worked. That gag worked. That was the only real ongoing gag for me that I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed. Um, yeah, man, the spammy spams, they won't give up, will they? They just keep coming. That's what she said. Gorr is a good villain, but I don't think he's one of the best. I'm kind of getting tired of villains commanding hordes of CGI monsters. That we can agree with, Kyle. That we can agree on, Kyle. I agree with that. One of my favorite things about Thor 2011 is how personal it is. Yeah, the filmmaking is up and down in Thor 2011, but it is a personal story. I agree with you there, and it's a good movie. I think I truly believe that Thor is an overlooked film. I don't know if it's a great film, but it's a good film, and I appreciate that. Let's see. What is your call sign going to be in Top Gun 3? You guys come up with me a call sign. I think that would be awesome. If you can come up with me a call sign in Top Gun 3, that'll be my new nickname. So I would appreciate that. God, I love Top Gun. Um, there was a lot of comedy. Yeah, I agree with that. There was a lot of comedy, Manuel. There was a lot of comedy. The jealous Stormbreaker was actually pretty funny for the first couple of jokes, but it kind of got stupid when Thor put the beer on the weapon. Yeah, that part didn't. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I'm sorry, but I found the beer scene to be stupid. I wouldn't. Yeah, it was. I didn't love that part. I kind of forgot about that, to be honest with you. Didn't love that. That was kind of silly. People are going in hard on Taika after this movie. Yeah, look, it's one film. Every director has a bad movie. Or at least a movie that's not very good. And heck, Steven Spielberg had BFG. Now, I ain't comparing Taika to Steven Spielberg. I'm not that stupid. But everybody has a bad movie. You know, well, not everyone. Denis Villeneuve. Let's go. Perfection. But no, I truly believe that he will continue to crank out good films because I look at the rest of his filmography. Hunt for the Wilder People, Thor Ragnarok, What We Do in the Shadows, which is, I mean, look, Taika got his start on ridiculous humor. What We Do in the Shadows is ridiculous, but it's hilarious. So Taika's bringing those things into Thor: Love and Thunder, maybe going overboard, and it's not working for people. And I get it. I understand why it's not working for people. Something more along the lines of a Jojo Rabbit is what he needs to do more of. That personal story, emotions, not taking it too far and too ridiculous. So that's where I think he needs to stay. Is this his worst film? Maybe. I still haven't seen his what that very first feature was, but comparing it to all those other movies that I talked about, it may be his worst, but still enjoyed it. But yeah, I definitely see why people are upset. But at the same time, to go that hard on him like they're going, I'm just like, come on, guys. He's had some great movies. It's one film. It's one film. Just go easy on the guy because he's a great director at his core. Um, did you find the whole screaming goat shtick annoying by the end of the movie? Yeah, that was the one that I just didn't like. I think overall, even at the beginning, it was one time I said, "Okay, that's fine," but they kept doing it, and that's one that I didn't like. I would say the movie is still great. Uh, Most of the jokes really made me laugh, and the action was amazing. The emotions were all great. Just wish the emotions were a major part of the film. I don't wanna use the word great or cool. I think the movie is good, but I'm with you. I wish the emotions played a bigger part. I think that's beautifully put. This is why I do this live stream. It's a beautiful way to put it. Absolutely beautiful. I love that. Hopefully, he comes back for Thor 5. He just needs to be rein in the balance of humor and emotion better. Completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. Kyle says, I think Taika needs to move away from Thor. I would love to see a Ridley Scott Thor film with some epic battles. That would be cool, Kyle. I don't hate that. I don't hate Ridley Scott coming in and doing Thor. I like that. Are you still excited for his Star Wars movie? I am. I hope he doesn't keep going overboard. It's Star Wars. You got to treat it with respect. You got to treat it how a fan of Star Wars would treat a Star Wars film. Add in his style, add in his flair, but treat it with respect. I'm still excited though. People are like, the Star Wars movie's gonna stink. I'm like, again, the guy did Hunt for the Wilder People and Jojo Rabbit. If he can maintain that in Star Wars, I think he'll be good. Yeah. Okay. Guys, I think we are didn't Ridley Scott call these movies boring though? Yeah, but if they offer him a big enough paycheck, money solves all. And I also don't think Ridley's actually ever seen a Marvel movie, or an MCU movie. Maybe he's seen 1 or 2, but when people call MCU movies boring, uh, most of the time they're thinking of, like, early 2000s Marvel movies and haven't really seen one since, and they probably just don't even watch the movie. That's just how I feel. You don't know. He probably watched Thor: The Dark World. That's really cool. Alright, guys. So, here's what we're gonna do. We're at 121. I planned on going an hour. You guys have been amazing. I mean, I appreciate every comment, every thought, every every super chat. I mean, it really has meant a lot. So for all the super chats, all the likes, I think we hit over 100 likes. Let's see if we did. Yeah, we're at 110. Amazing, spectacular. I will, if you have more questions, okay, about Thor, Love and Thunder, I think I may do like a second attached video. We have G. Kobe P saying, "You know what's funny? Also, Rin Geekness and Zach Pope didn't love Ragnarok yet love this movie." That's just strange to me. That's just strange. I love those 2 guys. I think Rin Geekness is awesome. Zach Pope is so great. But that's interesting. I need to go watch. I need to go watch and see how they feel about the film. But go back to that community post from yesterday. If you have any more thoughts, comments, things like that, I may go on my Patreon and do a public video answering some of your all's questions if we get enough. If we can get 5 or 6, I may go do a public video on Patreon, which will be available for everyone. So we'll see if we get some more. But if you have any more questions for me, you can leave it underneath this video when the stream's done as a comment, okay? Or on that. Actually, you know what? Let's just do this video as a comment when the stream's done because we still got some great questions. I had to go 20 minutes ago. I think you guys have been amazing today and truly just so many great questions. You stayed on topic. You were spectacular. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It means the world to me. Ryan sent a $10 super sticker. Let's see. Ryan says, "Thank you," and the super sticker, I can see it right here on my screen, Ryan. Thank you so much, man. That is awesome. That is truly awesome. But this was great. This was great. I loved this, man. I love this. This was so much fun. Um, I appreciate it. Jonah says, "Hey, the next box office stream include Miss Marvel spoilers like this one." We might do that one of these days. Someone who liked it initially got plenty of thoughts on it. Yeah, if Miss Marvel's, if there's enough talk, we may do a Miss Marvel spoiler scene. I think the next one for this maybe would be Nope, Jordan Peele. If there's enough to spoil that I would make it a separate standalone video, I'll just do a video. But if not, I think we could talk about Nope on this channel with a spoiler live discussion. So, and I already know what I'm seeing it too. So that would be awesome. Harkle says, "Thanks for the stream, Austin. Bye. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy the channel, brother. Take care." Listen, you guys take care. Be safe. Any more questions, leave them in the comments. I might do a pairing video over on Patreon. Otherwise, appreciate you all so much for watching Thor, coming over here, talking with me and to me. You guys are the best, and I will see you very, very soon.